5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Hey now. Hey now. Hey now.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is the Get You to the Weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show on this pigskin weekend. Nice to have you along. Great P-Man here with you. Mike Mullis in just a couple of minutes. We're also going to talk with Ross Chastain, NASCAR driver, during the course of this 45-minute show as we lead you into Pirate baseball. So a preview of the segment coming up with Mully in just a few minutes. Some other things to get to first. Dom Kasulki starting us off here today. We'll have the ref come in for the Chastain interview.
I think we're going to lose.
Dom Kasulki getting ready for the big weekend. Dom, how are you?
I'm great. I know you love playing that clip. Played it twice during Henry's show.
Well, that was way earlier, and this was this afternoon, so we had to let the people know what was going on. But
Gotta
you're
work
good,
a double.
Dom? Have you wrapped up everything? You're a learned man. Aren't you graduating and then going to grad school? Is that what's happening here?
Yep, graduating May 9th, and I'm staying here for another year, so you can't get rid of me yet.
I'm so happy you're staying. I really mean that. I couldn't be any happier that Dom Kasulki will be there. Have you watched any of Celtic City on Max yet?
I'm waiting for it all to come out.
Okay.
I'm seeing how the season goes. I'm hoping we win another championship. It'll be less bitter to watch if we can go back to back. I think I'll enjoy it even more.
No, here's what I think it'll uplift you a little bit because I was a big Celtics fan as a younger guy, as a kid, and so the first 7 or 8 installments, I was really all into it because it was kind of the era I remembered.
Yeah.
I had gotten out around the 2000s. I just quit when the NBA went on their work stoppage. I just kind of, I don't know, I just wasn't a big fan anymore. And I've never really regained it. I mean, I pay attention to what's going on a little bit, but, just never been the fan that I was, even though I think there's a lot of really good – everybody bemoans the NBA game. I think there's a lot of good things about the NBA game. I think they don't let the players get mugged, which is pretty good. Basketball is a game of movement, so I'll give them that. They do shoot too many threes, but, whatever. Anyway, this inspired me so much. I did watch some of the Celtics Magic the other night.
Yeah.
And the Celtics kind of kicked it away, and I didn't watch the second half because it was past my bedtime. So
Was that game 1 or game 2?
That was game 2.
Okay,
game 2.
so no Tatum.
No Tatum. Tatum was out with something on his wrist. So I watched the most recent edition was the 08 championship, and I really like Kevin Garnett. I was never a big Paul Pierce fan.
Okay.
But that was because I didn't know a lot about that team, but I didn't realize they'd gone 66-16. And then, I am kind of interested in watching the final installment. I think it's a 9-part series is what my guy Randy Moore was telling my dad, the coach. So anyway, it was great. And I think you'll enjoy it as a Celtics guy and as a guy who has connections to Boston. So
I believe you. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it eventually.
All right. What are your work assignments this weekend, Dom?
I'm about to go work the baseball game after this. I got to produce it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, okay. I'm working triple today. I got to work your show part of it, or work Henry earlier. Got to work baseball. So this is it's a fun day.
Are you done though for the weekend after that?
I thought I was, but there's going to be I guess promoting it here. Jim Zoki's doing a pregame show for the Purple and Gold game
tomorrow.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna be producing that. So I'll be everywhere.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow at 11 a.m. right here on 94.3 The Game in the IBX Media app. Jim Zoki with a lead-in tomorrow to ECU Purple Gold Spring Game. Well, a momentous day, long time coming in Greenville on Thursday. It was the groundbreaking ceremony for the new indoor practice facility at ECU. This is Director of Athletics John Gilbert.
This day I'm coming. Long before I set foot on campus to be the athletic director here at East Carolina University, there are many come before us that have talked about what this facility would bring, and I'm really excited on this historic day as we begin construction on the Isley Indoor Performance Center.
Nice way to kick off the 40th edition of the Pigskin Pig Out Party, the Purple Gold Spring Game, happening tomorrow at 12 noon inside of Dowdy Ficklett Stadium. It is free, and again, coverage begins at 11 tomorrow morning on 94.3 The Game and the IBX Media app. First round of the NFL draft in the books, and as expected, Cam Ward taken first overall. My adopted team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do a little work for a station group in Jacksonville, and I kind of in a way pay attention to what the Jaguars are doing because that's a big part of what goes on. And the Jags, with the big surprise of the first round, they actually traded up and got Travis Hunter. So that's a big pickup for them. A little later in the round, it sounded like this with the 8th pick.
The Carolina Panthers select Teteroa McMillan.
Teteroa McMillan, a wide receiver out of Arizona. Second and third rounds of the drafter tonight. North Carolina, the Carolina Panthers have the 57th and 74th picks. The Tar Heels and their running back Omarion Hampton, who went to Cleveland High School in Johnston County, was drafted 22nd by the Chargers. We'll await to hear the name of Savone Revel, the ECU corner tonight. Who did your team draft, Kasulki?
We drafted an offensive guard from Ohio State University.
I think we're going to lose.
How do you feel about that?
I was wanting Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan, but apparently everyone's staying. I mean, he fell out of the first round. Everyone's staying away from him because of a lingering knee issue, but he's first-round talent. He's first 15 picks in the draft type of talent, but a lingering knee issue is not good for a cornerback that needs to guard fast receivers. So,
and that might be Revel's, issue.
That could
but
be.
His rehab has gone very, very well, according to all reports. Also, Deion's son, Sanders, the quarterback, dropping out of the first. And look, I'll give the kid credit. He went up and spoke to the media last night.
He did? What'd he say?
And he was very calm and collected. I thought he handled it like a man. I mean, I thought he basically, said this is all part of a plan. So, I mean, I tip my hat to him.
I'm sure he's going to get picked somewhere soon.
Somebody will pick him up. He'll be picked up soon. You'll hear his name called tonight early, I would suspect. But we'll see. We also thought the Panthers were going to draft defense with their first pick.
How do you feel about that? Just curious.
I think they should have drafted on I think they got big problems on defense.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think they've got major defensive problems, and they've got to receivers are a dime a dozen. Yeah. So unless you're trying to add to the receiver room at a low cost relative to the receivers that are out there in free agency. But, I mean, you just got to build this defense up. I just don't understand what goes on in the walls there at Carolina. And I'm glad I don't root for him. The Pirate baseball team will be hosting the Tulane Green Wave tonight. We've got the game coming up at the top of the hour. It's the Pirates and Green Wave. Tulane swept ECU last year in New Orleans, you might remember. I'll be in the TV booth with Mike Mullis tonight on ESPN Plus, and Sunday at 1 for ESPN Plus. The middle game of the series is on ESPNU. You can listen to the game on our sister station, 94.3 The Game, with Dylan Johnson and Coach Gary Overton. A little earlier today, we had the occasion to preview the series with Mike Mullis. And as I said, Mully will be joining me on the telecast tonight. So a little earlier today, Mike Mullis joined us to preview ECU and Tulane. So, Mully, we've got the big weekend series against Tulane. Both these teams trying to flush their games last Saturday, and both teams did not have the opportunity to take the field in the midweek. I know for East Carolina, the feeling is that might give them a chance to rest a little bit of a pitching staff that is depleted, easy for me to say. But, for Tulane, I think the big thing for them is it's given them a chance to just focus on themselves all week. So the series getting underway today. What are your thoughts as we go into the weekend here, Mully?
Two programs that seem to be eerily similar and very similar situations with their season. Both teams still having a lot to play for, chasing the teams that lead them in the conference on the back end. And, the similarities going back to, like you mentioned, the tough loss that Tulane had Saturday, matter of fact, exactly like what East Carolina went through. And then the discussion, talking with the staff, when Tulane's hitting, they're not necessarily pitching. And when they're pitching, they're not necessarily hitting, which sounds, again, eerily familiar, and both teams trying to figure that part of it out.
Mike Mullis will be with me tonight and for the third game of the series. as it will be broadcast on ESPN Plus. The middle game will be on ESPNU. So looking forward to being back with Mully in the booth for this weekend, and the Green Wave of Tulane coming in to take on the Pirates. Brad Pruitt, all indications, is going to be taking the bump. And it was discussed by Cliff Godwin this week in the TV call with the TV folks for the weekend, Mike, that they were going to move Norby, or at least he would have been available had the NC State game been played. Norby would have been available to pitch out of the pen there, and that might be the move, it looks like, for Norby, possibly for at least the next little bit. So how do you think that will change things, and what do you expect out of Pruitt going as the game one starter?
Pruitt has been the high leverage arm out of the pen. He is the guy that they can go to or have been able to go to for the most part when they needed the strikeout. We saw him early struggle a little bit with command, but certainly has figured that out. I think it's interesting. You flip him out there Friday. You use him to start a game. A lot more variables in the start as opposed to coming in to a situation where you kind of have a defined role. So, but he's their strikeout guy. He's got good stuff. I think at this point, he's their best option, period, either as a starter or out of the pen. So kind of hard to do both. So I think it's kind of dictated by where the season's at, what the aspirations still are, and the fact that the Pirate pitching staff is still quite beat up, and the innings are starting to mount on some of these young guys. So roll your best guy out there on Friday and, see if he can't give you a chance to win game one.
I know you were out at practice Thursday for ECU. Anybody that you may have seen out there as far as guys that are trying to get back into the lineup that we could maybe see this weekend or might have a chance to see at some point soon?
Yeah, specifically, it was good to see Riley Johnson out there going through some drills, and it was a lot of base running and, working on some of the specifics as it relates to jumps and reading balls down and everything. So he wasn't necessarily sprinting around, but none of them were based on the drill set that they were doing. But he was out there participating in the drills, very vocal. So that would give some optimism to the thought that, we may see Riley Johnson back in the lineup sooner than later.
Do you think we may see a little more Braden Burris on the infield, perhaps some different people, a.k.a. Dixon Williams at short?
I think that's an interesting thought, PJ. As you start to look as this season gets into the short rows where, just inside, I guess, right around 20 games left, if you're going to go all offense or flip it the other way and go all defense, I'm not sure where specifically Boucher fits in that situation. And I know the season hasn't gone the way he would want it to go, but, 16, 17 errors at this point and hitting around that 245 mark. He has had some, he's had some big home runs and some hits, timely hitting, but it's one of those deals where a couple things. Number one, if Braden Burris is your future at either second or short, maybe you want to go ahead and get him some innings in there now. And does Dixon give you a better option at shortstop, especially if you go all offense? Maybe it gives you a chance to insert another bat in the outfield, especially you got to remember Braxton Trammell, who would become a big part of the Pirate offense, as he's hurt as well. So if you're going to try to figure out, okay, how do we get as many bats as we can in the lineup, the odd man out in that situation may be a guy like Boucher, and that may allow the opportunity, especially again if Riley Johnson returns to the lineup, you could squeeze Braden Burris back into the infield, and it may give you a more offensive look. So in answer to your question, I think it's completely within reason. And I think Coach Godwin and staff are, they're willing to do what they feel like they need to do to try to give themselves a chance here at the end of the season.
We're talking Pirate Baseball with Mike Mullis. We'll have the games for you, of course, all weekend long on 94.3 The Game and the IBX Media app. Molly and I will be in the TV booth for games 1 and 3 of the series, and it's ECU and Tulane coming up later on this evening. We'll get you out to the stadium for the pregame show coming up in just a little bit. Don't forget Ross Chastain from NASCAR will be with us in just a few minutes. But right now, talking Pirate Baseball with Mully. Give me a name or two of a guy, Mike, that has to step up. Maybe a guy that's a position guy or a day-to-day guy, even if it's somebody off the bench, and perhaps maybe a pitcher or two that you think really are going to have to right the ship, so to speak.
Yeah, and I don't know that right the ship. I think Braden Burris, if he can maintain even close to what he's doing, we've seen Kobe Wallace. Really like to see Dixon get hot at this time of the year. I think the guy that's overlooked offensively and the guy that I've talked about a lot this year, and you and I have had these conversations, is the output offensively from Walker Barron, not to mention the job he's done behind the plate. So, those four guys are kind of where it's at for the Pirates. And then, you get a knock here, knock there from one of the other guys, or, again, as Coach Godwin likes to run the offense, a knock may be the equivalent of a bunt, getting it down, getting a guy in score position. So, I think offensively, I know I gave you more than one or two, but I think it kind of goes through those four guys. On the pitching side, man, to me, it's pretty simple. I mean, take the ball when you're called on, and you got to pound the zone, you got to compete every pitch, and that's the entirety of the staff. Again, I think if you're going to take a positive out of the Saturday game, this past Saturday, and it's hard to find a positive, but if you're going to take one, you have to lean on the side of, at least they were throwing strikes. UAB just got off some swings. Again, the wind was blowing out. I've kind of heard that, all week, but they were in and around the strike zone, and that, that's the key.
Mike Mullis with us here this weekend. We've got UTSA hosting Memphis, so you got to feel good about their series there. South Florida will be at Wichita State, Florida Atlantic, and Charlotte's kind of an interesting series. Elsewhere, it'll be Rice and UAB. So as you look at it right now, Mike, all things kind of point to UTSA as maybe being the belle of the ball in the regular season. But as we know, this is a Tulane team that with the ECU sweep last year got hot. Won 9 out of their last 10 to get into the postseason by winning the American Conference Tournament. So it's still very much anybody's game. How many teams do you feel like in, a month that we will see called and on the regional line out of the American? If it were being picked today, how many would go?
First, let me go back to what you said with UTSA and doing a little digging, a little research. It's a huge deal to get UTSA out of their home ballpark and get them here. What the Pirates have to do is just make that series relevant. Keep it within striking distance. Find a way to do something with UTSA at your place could make all the difference in the world. Quite frankly, in the answer to your question, if that were to happen, and does that push? Could East Carolina get ahead of them and find a way to win the conference championship regular season? Obviously, that would be a team in, and then somebody else win the conference tournament. But PJ, I don't know that I see many ways other than that happening that the conference get any more than 2 teams. I just don't know that there's enough RPI strength there to make it happen. But anything's possible, and we've seen these things in the past, and we certainly have seen Pirate Baseball get just firecracker hot at the end of the season, and there's nothing to say they can't do it again. And I keep saying the end of the season, there's still roughly a third of the year left. So, if you're looking at it in a baseball comparison, they're 2 outs in the inning, but East Carolina's always done a great job of scoring with that last third of their outs. So we'll see what happens in the last third of this season.
I think legitimately there are 6 teams, and I would include Tulane in that have a chance to hoist the trophy before Memorial Day weekend, or before Memorial Day, during Memorial Day weekend. I really believe that. And I think if UTSA is able to be the one that is your regular season champ by the body of work they will have put together, I think there could be a chance that the league gets two, and we'll see otherwise. All right, Mully, good stuff there. Good. When you look at this, what does the series come down to this weekend?
Man, I think it's going to be the kind of the tying together of the offense and the pitching. So whichever team can find a way to have more success in coupling those together. In other words, hey, if we're pitching great, we got to find a way to score enough runs to support that pitching, and vice versa. The team that finds that this weekend will be the one. If neither team finds it, we could just be watching a good old-fashioned heavyweight fight where, we're just standing kind of in the middle of the ring, swapping blows. The momentum never goes either direction until the very end. So, but again, I think the team that can put together the whole game offensively and defensively will be the one that has a chance to win each game and ultimately win the series.
Mike Mullis, great to talk to you. We'll see you out in the booth in a little bit, Mully.
Sounds good, buddy.
The great Mike Mullis, he and I will be on the call this weekend for ESPN Plus Pirate Baseball games 1 and 3 of the series with ESPNU getting game 2. Stay tuned. More with Ross Chastain on the Get You to the Weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show during Pig Out Weekend.
We are riding shotgun with you on the drive home.
It's showtime.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, NASCAR coming up this weekend. We've got the Watermelon Man himself, Ross Chastain, with us here as NASCAR heads this weekend to Talladega for the Sunday race. And Ross Chastain on the Patrick Johnson Show with Philip and myself. Hey, Ross, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Patrick, glad to be on with you.
Well, Talladega coming up. You guys had the off weekend and gearing back up. What did you do during the Easter weekend and the time off, if you will?
I slipped off down to Florida. Our watermelon crop it's time to harvest it, and we're shipping them out and getting them out of the field. So time with the family, got to hug my grandparents and eat some good home cooking, and just taking that in and try not to get in the way too much, right? My job is to smash watermelons and promote them. My family does all the growing.
When you look at Pilkington says it's like a 9-generation farm, watermelon farm. Is that true?
So my brother and I are the 8th consecutive generations of Chastain that are growing and selling watermelons. And when you get back that far, they were growing other things, and each Chastain's grown sometimes different stuff based on. I mean, they were making a living. It's been our livelihood, and really, we can go all the way back to when our family came to America in 1700, and they were. I mean, everybody was farming to survive, to live.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, right.
All of it, everybody listening, your families at some point were farming. They had to be growing something. So it's definitely something we're proud to still be a part of. It's not like, don't imagine like old McDonald farm or something. We're not on the same piece of land that Granddaddy had or something. We've moved around, and we are shipping to your grocery stores. We're shipping watermelons, so we're not selling them on the side of the road by any means.
But if you had to, you would. If you had to go somewhere along I-4 and do it, you'd do it. You'd be fine if you had to do that. Ross Chastain joins us here. So the logical question for me is, what piqued your interest in NASCAR, and how do you balance, being involved and then obviously being involved in a sport that takes up the majority of your year?
I fell in love with it at 12 years old. I played soccer as a kid and wasn't very good. I played bench a lot with my position and just didn't put the work in. I just looking back, I did the required practices, and that was it. And if the coach asked us to do anything extra, I didn't do it. So it's something that the racing just came natural as far as driving. I grew up driving stuff around the farm when I was way too young to be driving on the road, but at the farm, Dad would let me do it. So then at 12 years old, he let me drive a race truck, and we started going to the track on the weekends and racing. And I didn't win. I was in the back, but started learning, and that didn't feel like I can only compare it to the only other thing I'd done was like soccer. I wanted to work on the truck. Now, Dad still had to push me. I mean, I was a kid, but I just thought about it all the time. I'd be in school, and I'd get in trouble for not paying attention because I was thinking about racing. And
Right.
so I couldn't wait to go home and work on my race truck that night on a Wednesday night or something so we could race on Saturday. And then it was just a hobby. And then when I turned 18, that was the minimum age for the truck series and all of NASCAR. We decided to do one race in Indianapolis in 2011 just to say we did it, kind of a bucket list thing, and put together the sponsorship, and we've never looked back since.
That's amazing. Ross Chastain, NASCAR this weekend in Talladega. They'll race there Sunday. With what was the big turning point in your career? I mean, obviously you make the decision to go to Indianapolis and kind of like grassroots. We're going to do this one race, but at what point does it flip for you and become more than just, hey, we tried this one time?
Yeah, I mean, I moved to North Carolina where all of NASCAR is in 2012 and in January, and I got up there and I wondered what was I doing because it was cold. I was living in a race shop in an upstairs loft, and I've told the story, but it had no central heat or air. It had a hole in the drywall, and it came in. They had a fan set up that would blow it in from the shop, and at night, that team owner did not want to run the heat at night. I'd have to sneak down and turn it on because it was freezing up there. But I just wanted to race, and that was a very inexpensive place to stay, and I did it. So from there, it really became it became my main source of income. Really, in 2014, I'd say. Is where it became the business of it. The early years were just sponsorship, bringing it to the teams and getting to drive, and then it turned into I have to kind of curate and bring the sponsorship, but on my own to do it. So it was something that ever since 2014, 2015, I guess, where I was making a modest living at it and trying to get to where I'm at. And what's crazy is it's like the dog that catches the truck he's been chasing and barking, and like all of a sudden the truck stops, and I'm like, oh, okay. So from 2011 and then getting hired to drive a Cup car full time and a funded car in 2021 was kind of the decade-long overnight success it took to get there.
Yeah. Ross Chastain on the Patrick Johnson Show. I know Pilk's got some questions, but with Talladega this weekend, is I guess it's expect the unexpected would be the best way to put it.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't get emotional when I race at Talladega because if it goes good or it goes bad, we make our own luck, and I can make some decisions and we plan and strategize a lot. But then it really comes down to if you're going to be caught up in a wreck, if a wreck's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and just trying not to be the one that causes it.
And then I wanted to ask you a little bit about, since you're basically a North Carolinian now, since you've lived here for so long, the return last year to North Wilkesboro on the Speedway there, and that was, I think, fantastic. When you look at the All-Star race and some of the things they're going to be doing as far as new race rules, just kind of your thoughts on that whole thing, the All-Star race, and then North Wilkesboro being somewhere where racing as NASCAR has returned.
Yeah, well, first, I do still think of myself as a Floridian. I get down as much as I can, but the job definitely has me busy in North Carolina. So I've driven by North Wilkesboro for years to go over to, like, snow ski and snowboard over at the mountains. And so I've watched trees grow each year through the grandstands, and that's wild. I remember the first time I saw they had cut them down, but it was the first step, right? It was as they were bringing it back, and I thought, oh wow, they're actually going to get this. They had been in there chainsawing big trees down that were in the grandstands, and down in 1 and 2, you could see from the highway there. So that's something that super happy to be part of that, be in the sport when we're going back to our roots a bit. And we've got a lot of great tracks that we race at, and some more that we don't, that we could even bring back and revive. So we'll see where it goes. But I think our leadership group at NASCAR and SMI, the other track ownership group of the Smith family, what Marcus is doing, it's really a good time to be in the sport. I'm proud to be a driver.
Hey, Ross, Philip Pilkington here. Patrick brought up Talladega. One thing I was going to bring up about this week, Cup has, all the National Series have kind of gone away from practice at the super speedways, with the exception of the Daytona 500. I'm sure some of the drivers in the Xfinity Series, if we ask them if they can't get on owners' points because their entry list is larger than the 38-car field, they would say we 100% need practice. Do you feel that's something that is needed at super speedways, or because for the first 187 laps, you're just trying to survive for that last one, does it really matter whether or not you get practice on Saturday morning?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a strong enough opinion to even say either way. I'm fine if we had practice. I'm fine if not. My team can come up with stuff to try to make my car faster. So if we had the opportunity, we would do it. But does it really matter? I don't know. NASCAR makes the rules, and that's all I ask. Just tell me the rules, give me the book, and now it's all online. Let me log in and see it, and tell me when we're racing. That way I can be ready and plan accordingly. And other than that, I don't get in on making those kind of decisions. They ask me from time to time, and I might give them an opinion, but on this one, we've talked about it. Internally at Trackhouse, we've talked about it, and it doesn't bother me either way. So we don't have it. We go qualify Saturday, and then we sit around and wait to race on Sunday.
Well, you mentioned you want them to tell you when you're racing. You also want to know where you're racing and where you're racing in the championship race in 2026. It sounds like it's all but official that it will be your home track at Homestead Miami Speedway. Do you like they're moving it away from Phoenix? Do you think Homestead's a good location? It also sounds like, I know nothing is confirmed yet, that they could be doing a rotation for the championship 4. I know your goal for the first 35 races is just to get there, and wherever it is, but do you have any sort of opinion on that?
Not really. I mean, it would be great for the state of Florida and in our area down there. I'm from the West Coast, but Homestead is the closest. So it's just a couple hours across Alligator Alley and around Lake Okeechobee to get there coming from the farm. So, yep, I'm excited if it does. I'm also excited if it's Phoenix or anywhere else. Getting a chance to run for a championship a couple of years ago has me wanting to do it again, and we're trying to make the right decisions now and plan so that we can do that for a long time to come.
Yeah, building off that, obviously, what did that playoff run mean? I mean, it's, we talk about it a lot, I think, in the ball sports that, it's tough to win a championship the first time you get there. Obviously, you did a great job. You finished second. You have won at Phoenix in the fall race. Unfortunately, that year you were not in the championship 4. But how do you just feel like that you guys have evolved, and how do you feel like that run that you put together back in the 2022 season, I think it was, to get to that championship 4, how is that going to help you guys in the future in the playoffs?
Yeah, just having a page of in a notebook that we've been able to accomplish that. Yeah, it's got a couple chances to win and able to get done one time there at Phoenix. Sport though, and we came back since then and not been competitive. So we're working to get back to the form we had that day in 23.
We got Ross Chastain with us here. The Talladega Spring Race coming up Sunday. CW will air that. And Ross Chastain with a handful of top tens this year. Talladega is a place you've won also. What are some things that you kind of do as your, I guess, race day routine? I mean, is there any superstitions or anything? Do you try to keep it to a routine? What is the typical race day like for you and your team?
Yeah, depending on the race, says if I'm gonna eat breakfast or not, and from there, we have quite a bit of meet and greets, and we want to see a lot of fans and our partners that come in. So it's 2 or 3 hours pre-race of meeting and signing autographs, taking pictures with people, because that's their maybe one chance a year to come to our race. We have merchandise rigs out front. We try to get out there and see fans and sling some merch, and then as far as routine, those are backed up from the race. So I've gotten into the routine of kind of when those start happening. I know just without even looking at a clock, okay, I've got a couple hours, I've got 2 hours, there's 1 hour left before we really get over to the car to get in and race. And then eating-wise is chicken and rice. I've learned to just keep it simple, and I'll be craving all kinds of stuff, right? We have a chef that travels with us and cooks, and a lot of the teams do. And you walk by those tents, and they got steaks on the grill, and they've got this and that. And I'm like, I'm sticking with the chicken that's plain grilled and white rice just to keep it simple and know that I'm going to feel good in the car. I don't want to feel heavy. I want to feel light.
Yeah.
And so I can, you're going to be sitting there for a long time and need to be making a lot of good decisions to try to get through these 400 and 500 mile races.
After a hot race, is there watermelon? Will you have any slice of watermelon to hydrate after that? I do. We have a watermelon in the hauler every week just for winning, and it doesn't get touched, even if we lose and somebody will eat it once it's about to go bad. But we've learned when to pull it off the counter. The team has learned definitely with a few of them sitting there too long because we don't win every week. But yes, some watermelon. And then at the end of the day, I got to be honest, when I get home, once we're home, right, travel back, fly, drive, whatever it is, and like walk in, I just want a Busch Light. And that's not even because they sponsor me. I drank it before, and I told them that. And I just, at the end of the day, I'm finally home and just sit down on the couch for a minute and like, okay, it's over. We're going to have one in another week, but just, Busch Light tastes awful good after running these cup races.
Speaking of when you do win, I might say his last name wrong. Walt, is it Macbrowski that goes and gets the watermelon when you guys win?
Well, it rotates through. So depending on, we've got a bit of a rotation of truck drivers, and yeah, so it's there's been different guys that have ran it out over the years.
So do they have to like try out for this? Is there a 40 time they've got to run? Because I know they cannot leave the pit box until you cross the start-finish line. And depending on the track, like you've won at Talladega, that's a long run from pit road out there to the start-finish line. Is there a certain speed they've got to have that job?
No, we just want the effort to be there. And they got to come all the way from the hauler in the garage, which is further from the track than the pit. So they got to go a long way, and they know, like, don't touch it. That is one thing that we have suitcases with victory lane items, hats, and different things that when we win, we want to have there, and we want it to be perfect and clean, a brand new hat. So we have suitcases, and nobody goes and gets them. It's just an unspoken rule for the sport and for all the teams go by that you don't go get that stuff early, and that watermelon sits there until that one car crosses the line.
Awesome stuff. Hey, Ross, thank you. Great to speak to you. I hope we can get you on again sometime down the road, hopefully after a victory.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
There he goes, Ross Chastain. Number one in your program and in your heart, the Watermelon Man. That was great, Pilk. It's good stuff. It's good stuff with him. Enjoyed it. All right, we are hitting a break. When we come back, Pilk will update you on everything going on in the world. I'm headed out to the park. It is the Get You to the Weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show here on 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and the IBX Media app. Stay with us.
Talladega.